And we're live. We are live on the internet. Tuesday, October 1st. Let's see if this stream can catch up with the rest of the world. Here. I think I'm live. I'm using this whole new program and I'm not entirely sure how it works. So, got a couple comments though already. Yes, the Brewers game is on. Last Tuesday night I had to deal with a severe thunderstorm warning. And this night we have to battle the Brewers, which hopefully they win. Hopefully beat the Nationals. They're going to have one hell of a challenge against the Dodgers. But holy cow, is this stream... I'm not entirely sure how it works. So, got a couple comments though already. Yes, the Brewers... Yeah. I just wanted to make sure the stream came through. I forget that I'm live. So I am trying. What's up, everyone? What's up, Big B? What's up, guys? Packer fans. It's been a long time. It's been a week. It's really hard to believe that. It just doesn't seem like there's been any football. Thursday was so far away. It's really hard for me to catch up with sports. Quite frankly, I got some lawn work done on Sunday, but I got Discord going. So if you guys want to call in, we're gonna try this. It was a suggestion on last Tuesday's episode. I got Discord hooked up on my phone. If you guys want to call in, do a little Q&A, maybe give your thoughts on the Packers season, I am more than willing to do that. The link is in the description down below. So if you guys want to check out that, if any of you guys are into that, who knows? We'll see how this goes. I've started tweeting more, so thank you for my, I think I have 7 or 8 followers. I tweeted throughout the football game a little bit last week. That was something completely new. But what do we got? How long do you think the Packers can keep this up? We'll start with some questions while the stream catches up with what's actually going on in real time. So, how long do I think the Packers can keep this up? Well, I think Sunday is going to be a really good test to see not only how the team decides to bounce back off of their first loss, but to see if their biggest weakness, which I'm sure we will talk about a lot tonight, and I will talk about a lot on Friday's video, if that run defense can finally maybe put a game together against Ezekiel Elliott, who is ranked 4th in the league if you don't count his first game where he was holding out. He didn't have a full training camp, but 4th in the league in running yards. Packers obviously struggled. We were getting runned on or rushed on all day on Thursday night, and it's a whole different perspective when you're actually at the game, seeing them continue to pick up these rush yards. But yeah, hopefully that's going to be the biggest thing. I think the Packers. I think we have a great team. Let's not overreact on a Thursday night game. There's a lot of elements that go into it. You're coming off of a short week. You don't have a whole lot of preparation. It's really kind of a skeleton game, quite frankly. You have players that played almost, you have 70% of your defense that played 100% of their snaps Thursday night. They're a little bit sore. They're a little bit unrested. So they come into that game. There's a lot of unknown variables. But yeah, I think the Packers can keep it up. It's really interesting. I mean, you think you get off to that 3-0 start. Now you're 3-1. And you look at the rest of the NFC outside of the San Francisco 49ers, who had a bye week. The rest of the NFC best records out there are 3-1. And if the Cowboys lose and they go to 3-2 and the Eagles win, they're 3-2, and all of a sudden you have an Eagles team that looked like they were going to fall behind the wayside really early on in the season, going right there and having the same record as the Cowboys if the Cowboys end up losing. So it's a long season. It's a journey, not a destination. Well, it is a destination. We're heading to the Super Bowl, hopefully, but it's you just gotta let this thing play out. The team is obviously more than capable. Hopefully, we can get Adams back. Hopefully, his injury is not too serious, but that is going to be kind of the mantra as we kind of look forward here. Let's just keep churning away 1 week at a time. As Matt LaFleur constantly states throughout his press conferences, they're 0-0. They're looking for their first win, and that's just how you have to approach every single week. I love that mindset. So we'll go with that. Do you think the Packers will beat the Cowboys? Score predictions? I haven't put a whole lot of thought into the score prediction side of things, but after watching the Cowboys Sunday night against the New Orleans Saints, I do believe the Packers will have more than a fair chance at beating the Cowboys, especially considering that Aaron Rodgers His second home away from home is down there in Dallas. Rodgers is overall 6-2 versus the Cowboys in his career, including the playoffs, and he has a couple of those game-winning drives in the 2 minutes against the Cowboys. So there's a lot of factors that play into it. The Cowboys obviously ran into their first decently good team. The Saints are surprising people without Drew Brees being in there in the lineup. But they obviously struggled. They scored the only touchdown, and it just proves that you can win a game in the NFL without scoring a touchdown. And I don't see why the Packers don't have as good of a shot as any other team at going down there in Dallas and beating the Cowboys. The Cowboys, the whole NFL is really a little bit unknown still. We're a quarter of the way through the season, but I do think that the Packers will take care of business down in Dallas. At least I'm hopeful that they will take care of business down there in Dallas, because I will have plenty of Jello shots made, and I'm looking to bounce back off of that depressing late interception, loss, pass interference, whatever you want to call it. Definitely disappointing. Do I think we can win if Devontae is out? Yeah, I think we can definitely win without Davante Adams, but we're not going to be able to win long term without Davante Adams. Now, thankfully, he had his opinion from the doctor on Friday following the game. Doesn't sound like anything is too serious, nothing that should keep him out long term. But I would love to see him there in the game on Sunday. If not, if he can't participate, I am not of the mindset like so many people on the internet are that they need to go out there and sign some big name wide receiver. I don't think we need to hit the panic button by any means. The offense still hasn't really figured out how to get everyone involved as it is, and this is something I've been talking about for weeks, really ever since week 2 when we had that first game underneath our belt. But they got to find ways to get Allison involved. They got to find ways to get MVS more involved. I mean, these guys have had some big catches, especially Geronimo Allison. He had a touchdown against the Eagles on Thursday night. But we have talent in that wide receiving group. Kumaro was inactive versus the Eagles on Thursday night, so hopefully he can bounce back and play a role in the game. And then you just got to get your tight ends involved too. I mean, Jimmy Graham, love him or hate him, I would honestly, being completely straightforward, halfway through that game on Thursday, I was of the mindset I'm starting to lean that we should just kind of give up on the guy. But he has the tool set that you want out of your tight ends, and we have to use what we have. I saw a statistic today that the Packers play action percentage for the season is at 21%, which is only up 3% from last year at this time. So this whole Matt LaFleur offense of getting a run game going and running off the play action just still hasn't come to fruition. It still looks at times like this is the old Packers offense, which isn't a bad thing because you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers who you want to go out there and lead your team, and especially the way that we were picking apart the Eagles on Thursday night. I was more than happy that Rodgers ended up throwing 50 passes throughout the game. But yeah, I mean, they'll figure it out. We can't get down on him. Don't get down on the Packers yet. It's too early. 3-1, whole season ahead of us. I do see the upcoming games as far as Kansas City being obviously a struggle. I see the Chargers possibly being a struggle. This is a team, even though they have their first loss of the season, this is still a team that can easily go 12-4, if not 13-3. They just got to get hot. They got to keep it going. In worst case scenario, I'll agree with Packers fan down there below at 11-5. That's a worst case scenario, but I still think we find ourselves in a playoff position. But let's enjoy the season while it's here. Let's just take it 1 week at a time. We have roughly 20 minutes of quality stream before the trolls come in. Well, chime away, guys. Chime away. I'll just try my best to ignore any of the troll comments. And as I mentioned before, I'm not sure if I'm using Discord right, but there is a link. If you guys want to call in, I could hear some of your beautiful voices. I see so many of your comments time and time again. So if you guys actually want to call in and share your thoughts, there is a link in the description. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it or not. But call in, we'll take your questions, we'll hear your input on the Packers. It's not about me. This is a community, guys. It's about you as well as the Green Bay Packers. Our love for the Green Bay Packers. So, what else we got? Do you think MVS and Allison can step up? I do. I absolutely do. I have all the faith in the world in those guys. We have solid options at wide receiver. We just need the guys will catch the ball. And Aaron Rodgers makes his wide receivers better, quite frankly. So, they catch the ball as long as Rodgers has time to get to him. And by the way, speaking of having time, the fact that you had Alex Light fill in for Brian Bulaga, who went out of the game, and still kept Rodgers upright as much as he was throughout the game is absolutely phenomenal. That was a surprise. That was a little bit of a star performance, in my opinion, of what we got out of Alex Light. So kudos to him. But yeah, we just got to get it to our receivers. A lot of Packers records predictions going on here. Why do you guys? What's the point of trying to predict it? Would it make you feel better if I told you that they were going to go 15-1? Because it's not. It'd be awesome if they do, but let's just see how it all plays out. It's a long season. You got to go one game at a time. One game at a time. I don't think we should trade for AJ Green, as I mentioned before. We got to keep those guys out of here. He's kind of a washed up wide receiver as it is. He hasn't had a 1,100-yard receiving year since 2017, I believe. So he's been completely quiet the last couple seasons. I don't think you have to go against someone like AJ Green and spend all that money on him. What else we got here? What's up, Junior? Do you think that our run defense will step up in Dallas for us? So I came away from that Thursday night game. I was at the game. I could just see that we cannot stop the run. I was dead set on the mindset that the Eagles would just continue to run the ball throughout that fourth quarter drive. I think there was about 7 minutes left, that they would just continue to run the ball and run out the clock because we could not stop the run to save our life. So I came out of that game knowing that we played the Cowboys, knowing that Ezekiel Elliott is right around the corner. And I didn't have a really good feeling about any of that. Quite frankly, I was a little bit in a panic mode personally. But after I had some time to digest it, and listening to some of these Packers and realizing what they had to do, so they were getting off of their gaps throughout the game quite frequently. Looking back at footage, they noticed that a lot of the things that they needed correct is mental errors on their side. It wasn't so much the Packers players were being out-blocked or outplayed, but they were just getting away from their assignments, and that led to the multitude of problems that we ran into against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, if there has been one overarching thought throughout the Packers' first 4 games of the season, is that we can't figure out how to get the run game going, and we can't figure out how to stop the run game on the defensive side of the ball. So these are 2 headlines 4 weeks into the season that are kind of defining what we have for our Packers team so far. We look at our secondary and our pass protection. Kevin King had an incredible game Thursday night. Jair Alexander, through 4 weeks, is still the top-rated coverage defender in Pro Football Focus. So he doesn't even have an interception, but he's still lighting it up from his defensive standpoint. And our pass rush outside of Thursday night has been one of the best in the league. I think they still lead the league as far as overall team pressures. So you gotta love what we have on defense. If we can figure out the run defense, that's really our only Achilles heel. That's our only weakness. We're gonna get back Oren Burks this week. He's already practicing, so possible that we'll get him back into some playing time on Sunday. And then we have to talk about Montravius Adams, who the main reason why the Packers decided to go out and get rid of, not go out, but just to get rid of Mike Daniels is because they liked what they saw in Montravius Adams. They liked his upside. They liked what he was doing, and you have to pay him a lot less money than you have to pay someone like Mike Daniels. So both Burks and Adams have been out. I think when these guys get healthy, we'll be able to maybe show a little bit better defensive formations rather than having, Raven Green or any sort of defensive backs coming up and playing forward in that run game, because you just need some big bodies in there. You need guys who understand the run concepts, and I think that's really the truth behind why our run defense is hurting so much. So if they can figure that out, that's their biggest weakness. They fix that, and our defense then goes back to being talked about as the top 5 defense. But after Thursday night, if they don't get that run game fixed or that run defense fixed, it's going to be a very, very long season, because we're going to be playing some very decent running backs throughout the rest of the year as well. Is Jamal Williams playing? Well, I don't have that insider information. So Jamal Williams obviously left the game very early on Thursday. He went to the hospital immediately after. He tweeted the next morning or Instagram the next morning that he was all good. He's all smiles. The only thing that was hurting was his pride. So those are good signs. He is in concussion protocol currently. And one thing about concussion protocol is that when you are in that, in the NFL, in that protocol, you're typically not allowed to, or you don't see players go to team meetings and the running back group meetings or anything really facilitated with football, because that can be a strain on the mind. So promising news is that Jamal Williams has participated in meetings outside of just practice. Obviously he hasn't practiced yet. So it'll be real interesting to see if he finds his way into the game plan as far as Sunday against the Cowboys, if he gets cleared before then. If not, Dexter Williams, who I was asked last week how many carries he would have this season, he's the next man up on the running back group. Outside of, he was inactive Thursday night, so when Williams went down, it basically became a one-man show with Aaron Jones, and then they had Danny Vitale fill in throughout the game in various ways, shapes, and forms, but they had a game plan built around Jones and Williams, and it just never took hold once Williams went out of the game. So expect Dexter to get more playing time. I would love to see that. Love to see what this young rookie is capable of. Probably full of a bunch of rookie mistakes, and is going to be head scratching throughout the game, but we'll see how that goes, right? Do you think that our run defense will step up? I talked about that one. We've got a good start at winning the division games. Yeah, you have to love winning those divisional matchups very early on. It has proven to be absolutely crucial that we win those games. So you look at the Vikings, now they're 0-2 in the division. You look at the Bears, who their only loss on the season comes to the Packers. So obviously the Packers now hold that tie breaking record, 3-1, with the Bears at 3-1. And then when one of you guys look up, I'm obviously a little bit busy doing some stuff, but look up on the schedule right now. When do the Lions play either the Bears or the Vikings? I'm not sure if it's this week. I know that we face off against the Lions on Monday night next week, but that is a super under the radar team that managed to put Kansas City on their heels just this past Sunday and almost steal a victory had it not been for just a multitude of little things that kind of crumbled beneath their feet. So you look at this division. This division is really solid. Obviously, the best division in the league, or easily the best division in the league, and winning those divisional games are going to be absolutely crucial. I was always of the mindset that if we can go 50-50 in these division games against the Bears and the Vikings, that's a great scenario. That's a great outcome to getting us to where we want to be. But at this point, I think you need to obviously you need to win every divisional game. But it's really going to amp up those next Bears and Vikings games, because if you can take 2 games ahead of those guys, that's going to be crucial to not only making the playoffs but winning the division and getting some home field advantage in the playoffs. And yes, this is a playoff team. To answer previous questions before, how do I think this team will hold up, or do I think this team's going to hold up? Absolutely, they're a playoff team, but we just have to go out there and obviously win some more games. We got to go. Really hate Thursday games. It's horrible for a player. I do too. The more I think about it, I don't know why I didn't see this coming as far as the lackluster. It was a shootout, quite frankly, on Thursday night, but there's just not a lot of game plan that goes into it. It's hard on the players' bodies. You don't have that full week of preparation. Like, we look at this Dallas game, and both teams are right at this point studying each other, looking at film. They're getting ready to go head and head. It's a chess game at that point. When you look at Thursday night games, it kind of goes back to just go out there, throw the pigskin around, score more points than the other team, and hopefully walk away with a victory. So I don't get too disappointed. Obviously, I would have loved to see them win the game, but luckily there's no more Thursday night games throughout the rest of the year, so we can thank the Lord for that. If Adams doesn't play, we are going to need a wide receiver to step up. Absolutely, we talked about that. Are bad play calls more on Matt or Rodgers? Now, I assume you're talking about the bad play calls when it came to the goal line in the fourth quarter, where we went 4 and out or 5 and out, and then you look at very late on in the game when Rodgers forced it and it threw an interception. I don't really know if you can blame one person on that. So I'm a firm believer, until I am proven otherwise. I think Rodgers and LaFleur are very much on the same page. They have the same mindset of what they want to do and what they feel they can accomplish when they go out there and call these plays. Now, that play that was intercepted, the final play of the game, remember there was that long injury timeout. It took about 20 minutes. Eagles defensive player went out on a stretcher. So Rodgers had plenty of time to talk to Matt about what kind of play they wanted to run. So there was a combination there as far as the plays being called and the one that they went with. I think Rodgers just made the bad decision of choosing to throw to him versus Darius Shepard, who was wide open in the end zone, but that's a whole other conversation. In regards to the 4 and out on the goal line and everybody suggesting that they run the ball. Now, the Packers were not able to get a running game going at all throughout the course of the game. So to think that maybe they should have ran it once, but to think that they would have been equally as successful to run the ball, they could have ran the ball 4 times and easily been kept out of the end zone, and we would have been saying we have Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback in the league. Why aren't we keeping the ball in his hand? And we have Jimmy Graham, who's a giant on the field. Why are we not throwing? We tried everything. I think you have to really, it's easy to say what if and why didn't we and all that stuff that goes along with that. But you look at what Aaron Rodgers has been able to do within the 5-yard line, under center, shotgun, whichever position, he finds a way to get the ball in the end zone. And we have to give a little bit more credit to the Eagles. They had incredible defense. I was in that end zone watching that entire thing unfold, and nobody was open. Quite frankly, the defense was locked in. You can put some of that blame maybe on the route running, but I think a lot of the blame has to go to the fact that Davante Adams was not a part of that game. He is Aaron Rodgers' safety blanket. He is the guy that is going to get the ball from Rodgers. The next person needs to step up, which is probably Jimmy Graham, but he was not able to do anything. And then it gets a little bit of a clusterfuck, if you will, as far as who they want to throw to or how they want to treat that. So it's tough to say. Obviously, they had their chances. The Green Bay Packers let one slip away. It was definitely going to come down to who had the ball last, and it was that shitty no-call pass interference that probably should have been challenged. I'm not going to go down that road. There's a lot of calls throughout the game that probably should have been challenged or reversed, but they had their chances. It's just one loss. We move on. We face the Cowboys. I continue to record videos and drink my old fashions and just enjoy the ride. The playoffs are around the corner. It'll be fun. We'll get there. Let's see here. Am I crazy? Let's go up a little bit further. It's looking like the Packers are leaning more towards defending the long ball and neglecting to effectively stop the run. Do you think they can find a medium? Well, I think they're eliminating big play potential, right? But that, to your point, that creates an issue of them continually to chip away the ball, and chip away down the field until inevitably they're in field goal range or they find themselves in the end zone. So I had 3 keys to victory. If you guys watch my Friday videos, I had 3 keys to victory when it came to beating the Philadelphia Eagles, and they are as followed. Key to victory number 1 was win the turnover battle. We lost the turnover battle. We went we had 0 turnovers, or we took away the balls 0 times. The Eagles took the ball away twice, so we lost the turnover battle. The key to victory number 2 was to crush the run. Obviously, we failed miserably at stopping the run. If you look at the statistics from Thursday night, we gave up. Where's our rushing yards here? They're gonna make me do math. 176 rushing yards on Thursday night. So that was a falter and a big problem as far as we didn't. I think Carson Wentz is an incredible quarterback. I think that even if we would have stopped the run, he could have carried the team still to a victory on Thursday night, but it would have made the Packers a little bit more comfortable and in their comfort zone if they really had to just focus on the passing game, and we just could not stop the run. And that led me to my key to victory number 3, which is time of possession. And we did technically win the time of possession, but that run game was just crucial. It kept the defense on the field longer than they wanted to be, and it kept the offense, well, quite frankly, when the offense was on the field, they were moving the ball down and scoring. So it's interesting. I mean, the Packers need to figure it out. They do need to find that median, and I think it all starts with stopping the run. If the guys up front can get healthy, if we can get Oren Burks involved, if we can get Montravius Adams back, and they can stay on their gaps and stay on their roles on that defensive line and stop the run, then we can start to focus on everything else. But we'll have to eventually find the median, or else every team out there will know the exact recipe on how to score on us and how to move the football on us. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that they will figure it out, even if they have to go all in at stopping the run for one of these games, just simply to say that they can stop the run. It'll be interesting to see how this whole thing eventually pans out. So thanks for looking that up. So it looks like on 10-20, the Lions play the Vikings. 11-10, the Lions play the Bears. And there must be a couple games. I'm assuming those are the first matchups, so the Lions don't play the Bears until November. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. T-Rock's going to Lambeau Field against the Redskins on December 8th. That should be a bloodbath. Hopefully, by December 8th, the Packers have found themselves in a smooth operating motion as far as defense and offense, and I don't think the Redskins are ever going to figure it out, quite frankly. So that'll be a fun game. It'll be winter in Lambeau. I prefer summer or fall at Lambeau. I've gone to a couple winter games, froze my tail off, and but it's worth it to experience at least once. Go out there and enjoy yourself. Jimmy Graham looked good, but not great. Catching a touchdown pass, but yet dropping one. I think the play calling on the goal line was clever, but it was poor execution. Do you agree? I do agree. I think they had their opportunities. I think for the most part, the defense was shutting down anything that was happening in the end zone at that point. But yeah, I mean, that drop touchdown was a tough one. I mean, it was a one-handed attempt. He had a guy draped all over him. He was in the back of the end zone, so he was trying to make sure his feet were in bounds on top of everything else. So I don't put a whole lot of blame on Jimmy for that one, but obviously we want to see him go out there and perform much better. The Eagles earned that red zone stop. Absolutely, I agree. What's up, Graham25? If that's Jimmy, welcome to the podcast. I appreciate it. Next question from Caesar. And by the way, I don't have anybody apparently that wants to call in. So I don't know if I'm just not doing it right, or maybe the drunk guy that was here last week that kept screaming Discord just decided not to tune in this week. So we'll move on. So so the next question is from Caesar. Are Cowboys really good or just a product of facing bad teams, New York, Washington Dolphins, and a good Saints team who they lost to and brought them down to what say you? Oh, brought them down to earth. There you go. It's important to read it. So yeah, I think that's the joy of the NFL, is that you don't really know what you have out of some of these teams until the season starts to progress and they have some challenges. So I agree 100%. They played a very bad New York Giants team that was still quarterbacked by Eli Manning, and we know all the struggles that team has faced. So they find themselves with a victory there. Washington, as I just alluded to, is a struggling team as well. And then you talk about the Dolphins, the dumpster fire that is the Dolphins. So yeah, the Cowboys did play three very bad teams, or three very poor teams, if you want to be politically correct about it. And then they faced the Saints team. So, and by the way, the games that they had against these three teams in weeks 1 through 3, those weren't crazy blowouts by any means. I mean, those were like 10-point games, 15-point games. They weren't just destroying any of those teams. So they obviously lose to the Saints. They give up 4 field goals. They lose 12-10. And I do think that, I quite frankly, I think that they played some bad teams. I think that the Saints was a wake-up call. I almost wish that they would have destroyed the Saints just for the sole fact that they would not know what hit them when Green Bay came to town. But it's a wake-up call for Green Bay. They're 3-1. It's a wake-up call for the Cowboys. They're 3-1. And that just adds to all the drama that will ensue on Sunday. And I can't wait. I think it's crucial for the Packers to find themselves with a victory. To go 4-1, you have a win on the Cowboys. At that point, I can't imagine. I mean, San Francisco, I think, plays the Browns on Monday night, so Browns have as good a shot as anyone to beat the San Francisco 49ers. And right there, we could be at the top of the NFC just at a blink of an eye. What else do we got here? What's the number to call in? So there's a link in the description for the Discord channel. So I'm not even sure if I'm doing it right, quite frankly. I'm a little bit... I'm actually a pretty technical guy, but here, I'll type it right here. Hang tight, guys. https://discord.gg/AEN3DV. All right, we'll try that. So, what else we got here? Drink break? I think so. Who's the difference maker, both offense and defense, going into this week? So, great question. I like that question, Metal Fingers. Thanks you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. So to answer your question, let's break it down. So on the offensive side of the ball, I think the biggest difference maker is going to be either Allison or MVS. So if Adams cannot step up and play on Sunday, if he is ruled out for any reason, the biggest difference maker will be who is that wide receiver that's going to step up and take over the bulk of the receptions for that Green Bay offense. Now, I do think that the nod probably goes to MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think that he is. Oh, hold on, we got someone here. So I'm gonna. What am I gonna do here? All right. So I got you, podcast 1919. So I'm gonna mute you real quick. Let me finish this. So I think that MVS obviously comes forward, and he is the guy that we end up throwing the ball to the most, and he's the difference maker on the offense. On the defensive side of the ball, boy, that one's a challenge. So it's obviously going to boil down to stopping the run game. So there's a couple names that come to mind. I think you have to give out an award to Z Smith, Zadarius Smith. I think that his lack of getting pressure on the quarterback or creating any sort of disruption last week was a huge upset or a disappointment. So I'd like to see him be the difference maker as he was in the first 3 weeks. Otherwise, if we can get Oren Burks back and he is a participant in Sunday's game, I would call him the difference maker because we have Martinez doing a hell of a lot of tackling on the offensive side of the ball, or on the defensive side of the ball. And if you can get another guy in that linebacking group that has that sort of energy and that can tackle like that, well, I think that will be the difference maker. So we got podcast 1919 that tuned in, and let's see if we can get this guy involved. Let's see here. I don't know what I'm doing. Nope. He untuned. Oh,
it's working.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, first phone call. How about that?
How's it going?
Good. So welcome to the podcast, the live podcast. You're in front of 17 live viewers. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So, we got a question?
I do. So, I feel like we should get the screen game going that we haven't been using. I think that would help the offense out a lot.
Yeah, so definitely it would keep the defense as far as guessing, because we haven't run the screen game hardly at all, and you have a guy like Aaron Jones who is more than capable of being shifty and fast when he gets out there in the open field. So I would agree 100% with that.
Definitely, especially because in LaFleur's system, it's actually really big. Man, they ran it a lot with Derek Henry and Lewis when he was in Tennessee, and it worked out great. We have a better offensive line than they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something. You have another question, or you want?
That was all.
All right. Thanks for calling. You're my first caller. We're gonna drop the call. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
So I would agree. I mean, there's a lot of different as far as what the Packers can do on the offense with their zone offense. Setting up a screen game would be a great option that we need to start to explore, especially when you talk about how the Packers have failed throughout the entire season so far to kind of keep those third down distances short. So typically what you would see in a Mike McCarthy's offense, at least in the past, is that they would run these screens when it was like 2nd and 20, 2nd and 25, 3rd and 20, and you constantly kind of scratch your head. Yeah, it's great. It kind of throws the defense because they're not expecting it at those points. But if they can, I agree 100%. If we could kind of implement a screen game into the Packers offense a little bit more, I think that starts to then create a whole bunch of different elements on that Packers offense. And as I see it down their comment screen, the Saints ran a ton of screens on the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night, and that obviously proved crucial in helping them propel themselves to another victory. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if they can do it. I mean, they've obviously kind of stepped away from the run game. They've kind of stepped away in the back seat as far as their play action capabilities. But yeah, let's see if they can take that off. I mean, at this point, I'm looking for any possible suggestions to get this offense kind of back on track, and getting Aaron Jones, who is, has supreme talents in that backfield, more involved and active in a role in the Packers offense. So what else do we have out there? Last week I asked how many carries you thought D. Williams would get. Now we'll be getting his opportunity. Do you think he will dominate on the ground? I think he has potential to be a star halfback. Yes, you did ask that question last week. I said 7 would be the answer, and I think he will get his chances. I feel like if you guys want to ask any more questions, like maybe will Alan Lazard get his chances, or Darius Shepard get his chances, I'm not going to answer that question because it probably runs the risk of someone like one of our other wide receivers going down, and then we'll be forced to use these guys. But Dexter Williams will definitely get a higher role as far as in the Packers offense. And it will just depend on how long it's going to be that Jamal Williams is out. You can't just solely rely on one back as Aaron Jones carrying this Packers offense. So yeah, hopefully he gets a little bit more time out there in the field. To be honest, I really hope they put Jake Kummerow in more. That question came from Junior. I agree 100%. I was shocked to see that Kummerow was inactive, but you kind of have to pick and choose your battles as far as what you want for personnel out there on the field. They obviously didn't feel like they had someone like him, or they needed someone like him in their game plan. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously Rogers is a huge fan of Jake Kummerow. I'm a pretty big fan of Jake Kummerow. I'd like to see him be a more active player as well, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Quite frankly, they're struggling. I think if Adams goes out, they're going to have to start to dig into that basket and find someone like Kummerow and Lazard and Shepard and make them a bigger role. Let's see here. Kind of running out of questions. I'm going to take another drink break. If you guys want to call in again, get my second caller. There is a link down below. That was a lot of fun. You're more than welcome for me taking your call. Podcast 1919. Love the name, by the way. That was different. Very different. And we're going to stream for probably about another, 5 to 10 minutes. So, yeah, looking forward to the Dallas Cowboy game. I think obviously your headline is that run game. It's going to be setting the tone early, getting the Dallas Cowboys off of the game plan as far as running the ball. And then let's maybe give Dallas a little bit more credit. They know that we are going to be focused 100% on stopping the run game. So they might even be smart enough to, at that point, know that we are going to be dedicated to that position and dedicated to stopping that they do a little bit more play action, and that's going to put more stress on our secondary. So these are things that we have to be mindful of. Hopefully the Packers are mindful of that. Otherwise, they could find themselves in one hell of a long day down there in Dallas. And I didn't think that the Packers... I'm of the mindset right now that if the Packers find themselves scoring at least 30 points, 27, 30 points, that they should be able to beat the Dallas Cowboys. But I thought the same thing when we played the Eagles, and I think they just caught the Packers on an off night. What else we got out there? So Johnny writes in, what do you think we need to do to get our running game going? Well, I think you need to commit to it a lot more. It can be tough, especially when you have a guy like Rodgers and you have weapons like you have for Adams and Graham and the rest of your receivers. It can be tough to stay committed to it, especially if when you do run it, you're only picking up a yard or two, or maybe even getting back to the line of the scrimmage. But they have to get consistent. They have to find a way to game plan one way or the other that they're going to get the ball either in Aaron Jones' hands, Jamal Williams' hands, and a combination of both. We have to run the ball somewhere between 20 to 25 times a game minimum, to at least kind of keep that defense guessing. So I think a lot of it's going to boil down to keeping the right personnel out there. I think Elton Jenkins had one hell of a great first game as a starter for the Green Bay Packers on Thursday night. But if you were going to utilize Jimmy Graham, he is not a blocker by any means. I think if you also run some eye sets or keep someone like Danny Vitale in there to possibly boost that blocking game, that would be crucial as far as boosting up that run game. But I think it all just comes down to not giving up on it, to keep chipping away at it. You obviously have, if you put Mercedes Lewis in there, he's capable of not only catching but blocking. And there just needs to be a new mindset around it, too. We've had some really good rush defenses that we've played. We went up against the Bears. We went up against the Vikings, the Broncos, now the Eagles. I mean, these are solid defensive lines that we have faced 4 weeks into the season. I assume Dallas will give us just as much of a challenge, but that's part of the NFL, too. You have to figure it out, and you have to give a little bit more credit to the defense, but just don't give up on it quite yet. I think that they keep chipping away at it, this run game will eventually figure itself out. I can't wait. Cooper versus Alexander. That is going to be an absolute highlight. And then you have the return of Cobb too. Yeah, you said that right below. You think Cobb goes off on us? I don't think Cobb goes off on us whatsoever. I would be surprised. I mean, I have him in fantasy. He's been riding my bench, and there's a reason why he's been riding my bench, because he just hasn't done a whole lot outside of maybe a decent week one. But yeah, I think Alexander's going to have one hell of a day against Cooper. I think that's going to be a great matchup to watch. I think Kevin King will continue to come into his own on the team as well. And then, yeah, I mean, there's matchups all over the place. I mean, I love just the element of being in Dallas again. I wish we could get Jared Cook back on the team and we could be throwing just dimes on the sideline throughout the game, because that you just know, don't give up. Okay, here's your takeaway. Here's my very early takeaway from Sunday's game. Don't give up on the game until there's zeros on the clock at the end of the fourth quarter. Because if there's one thing that these games against the Cowboys have shown us, is that it really just, it comes down to the final seconds when the ball's in Rodgers' hands. All right, 5 more minutes left on this podcast. The Brewers, a little bit of a Brewers update. If you're watching the game, you probably already know this, but it looks like it's 3-1. Brewers, if they win tonight, they go on into the NLDS and face off against the Dodgers. Didn't think that was going to be possible, especially midway through the season. They were really struggling. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know if they have what it takes to beat the Dodgers, but that's pretty cool. I think, let's see here, T-Rock, but they're coming off of Saints stopping Elliott, so I think they want to establish that as much as we want to stop them. Agree. Podcast 1919 says one more time, and we should run Lazard MVS outside and use Allison as a slot if we can't run Adams, and we use the 2 with height to kill their short corners. Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, I just hope Adams is active throughout the game, because obviously the Packers showed that if they do a game plan and they incorporate Rodgers made it very clear that he set out to make Adams his number 1 target throughout the entire matchup. So with 10 catches, 180 yards, Adams was having a field day against the Eagles. He would have finished with over 200 yards and at least 1 touchdown in the game had he not gone out with that turf toe injury. So I'd love to see, obviously, them keep him in the game, incorporate him. If not, yeah, we have options. I think MVS, easily the fastest guy on our roster. We have him on the outside. We have Allison. You want to put Allison in the slot? I'm not entirely sure. I'd like to see Kumaro in the slot. I think if they want to involve Kumaro in any capacity, put him in the slot and let him just be that little white wonder boy that catches everything across the middle. Very similar to what you see with like a Danny Amendola. But even Darius Shepard would be a great slot receiver option. I'm just not sure if I like Lazard, quite frankly, on the outside as much as I like someone like Allison on the outside. But that's my personal opinion, 100% on that one. So it is 9:41 on my live stream time. I'm going to go catch the final inning of the Brewers game. I will have a live video on Friday previewing my final thoughts ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. We are 3-1. That's a good place to be, quarter of the way through the season. If you would have told me that would be the case before the season started, I would have been super happy. I would have predicted that the Packers would have lost to the Bears in Week 1 and not to the Eagles. But it is what it is. We're 3-1. Got the whole season ahead of us. Thank you to all of you guys for tuning in and commenting. I will be live again, of course, next Tuesday at 9 p.m., every Tuesday at 9 p.m. And keep an eye out for the video. And, yeah, until next time, Packers beat the Cowboys. I like it. I like the sound of that. It sounds good in my ear. Until next time, I will see you on the internet. Thanks for watching.